Hey, good morning, gang. Yeah, I'm a couple of minutes early. 27 minutes past the hour. Hell, I don't even know if anybody's up yet. Who have I got? Hey, good morning, Jennifer. It's the only person I can see in line at the moment. Let's see. I'm going to sit here and probably sound like a muttering idiot because guess who forgot church was at 9:30 this morning due to timing. My alarm went off at 9, and well, I got coffee, and yeah, I got coffee. Got Dr. Pepper back up, plenty of vape, and brain is brain is like, really? You want me to think now? Have you lost your mind? Uh huh, completely. Yep. Well, last night was my birthday. Had some friends out we haven't seen in a while. Um, Sit up and talk till not too late, a little after 10, I guess. And did a little energy work, a little energy raising, a little counseling. It was really nice. Of course, yeah. Somebody wants my brain to function right now. Posting. Who's posting? Good morning. Uh, yes. Well, how about that? So, here's hoping everyone's having a decent weekend. I know I am. I mean, we've had some rain, had a little bit of rain last night. A little weather blew through, but cooled it off a bit. Supposed to be a beautiful day today, and for the most part, nice weather throughout the week here in North Texas. Morning, Cynthia. 29 minutes past the hour. We're going to give a few more people a minute or two to show up. Showing 52 degrees in North Texas. Hope it's not too bad. Hope it's not too bad where y'all are at, wherever you are watching this morning's presentation. Excuse me while I continue to clear out my sinuses and wash my brain and hopefully get it going. Good morning, Danae, Jennifer, um, Cindy, and Camille. And whoever else is watching out there according to the stats. Let's see, 58 in Beaumont, not too bad. Danae, how is it up in your world? I understand you guys went through some pretty hellacious snowstorms for a while. Had some weather up in the northern plains. Oh, hell. Say it like it is. The northern plains got the shit beat out of them with all the snow and ice and everything. Well, here we are, 30 minutes past the hour. Um, First 9:30 a.m. church, as it were. And we're doing this because sometimes we get these really good topics, get some real good discussion going. And of course, at 10 minutes, 10 minutes before the hour, 11 o'clock Central Time. At 11 o'clock Central Time, I go over to UnitedPaganRadio.net for my radio show there. And yeah, so it takes about 10 minutes to get Skype up and running and make sure it's going to connect. Of course, this old PC that I use for video presentations and radio, it's pretty hopped up for RAM and processing power, so I can be able to get out, as it were. But Skype, well, Skype is Skype, and we all know how Skype can be. It will it will really freak itself out, as it were. Uh, Cindy down in South Texas said they had some storms come through. Danae says it's a lot better up north. Be getting snow this week, right? All right, let's get going. Happy Sunday. Happy after crazy ass inauguration here in the States. I'm not going to talk about politics. Oh, hell, I don't even want to go there. Uh, America has gone batshit crazy. Everybody's talking about everybody else is a bigot. Everybody's talking about everybody's discriminating against everyone, and I'm like, well, okay, yeah, that's not the American way, people. That's human. Um, that's human, and it's kind of weird. Discrimination. Discrimination is the event of denying someone the ability to do something, go someplace, or be somewhere because of race, creed, color, religion, or sexuality. Now, pagans are the world's worst at saying, I don't discriminate against anybody. I accept everybody as you are. I love everybody. Everybody's into free love, da 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 bullshit. Pagans are one of the biggest discriminators there are. Here's why. And I'm probably going to piss a lot of people off, but well, better pissed off than pissed on, right? So why are why are pagans one of the biggest discriminators? Well, it's real easy. We have no problem slamming, damning, condemning, or jumping up and down and screaming all over the Christian church. Okay. We have no problems looking at someone that wants to come into one of our circles and going, no, you are not welcome in this circle. I don't like your energy. How many times have I heard that? More times than I can count on several hands and several feet. Um, I've even said that once or twice myself, for which I was later relatively ashamed for doing so. Well, then there are some allowed discriminations. Absolutely. There are some discriminations that um, are accepted, in fact, required. For example, I do not allow anyone on my property or in my home under the influence of illegal drugs, if I know it for a fact, right? I request that no one come into my home carrying illegal drugs. Now, some people would say, duh, that's just, being smart. But it is, it is by far discrimination because I am denying someone access to some place because of something that they do. That is discrimination by the bare means of the definition. Not allowing someone into my circle because of their past arts and in the dark arts, their past actions in using energy and magic to hurt, destroy, or cause problems with other people. But that's discrimination by definition. So the reason I wanted to do this topic today is America has lost her mind. Actually, America hasn't lost her mind. The people in it have gone batshit crazy. Every time you turn around, somebody is being accused of or being slammed on for discriminating, being a bigot, or saying something that offends someone. Now, anybody that knows me knows I have no problems taking on a sensitive topic. I have no problems taking on a topic that may piss somebody off. I mean, as it goes, like I used to tell people in circle, if you don't like the topic, have a nice day. Well, now that we're doing digital church, as it were. If you don't like the topic, close the window, change the channel. And I hate saying that, but it is what it is. And I'm the same way. I listen to a lot of radio shows on United Pagan Radio. If I'm not up or happy with the topic, I don't get it or I don't agree with it, and I know full well that in my path it may be full of shit. I'm not going to attack the presenter because that is their way. I'm simply going to exit. I'm simply going to exit the window. And Cindy says freedom of speech. Well, to a degree. Um, Freedom of speech, though, does fall within discrimination, and here's why. In my opinion, ta-da, there's the disclaimer. In my opinion, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and most of them stink, so here you go. In my opinion, you do not have freedom of speech to use your speech to destroy or to put down, to flame, or cause chaos or issues with other people, groups, covens, groves, religions, ways of life, or what have you. To me, I do not have the freedom of speech to attack another individual for the way they think. I may question, why do you think that way? Why do you feel that way? A woman on Cindy's page yesterday obviously misread Cindy's post, misread my reply to the post, and boy, that woman ripped me a new asshole. Well, guess what? I ripped back. So did a few other people. And, I'm sorry. I'm going to fight stone with stone. I'm going to fight fire with fire. If somebody comes at me with a verbal attack, well, I'm going to go back at you with a couple of steps up if at all possible. Now, the problem with this, and it all comes down to discrimination, the assumed discriminatory actions of other people. Danae says, did she poke the bear? No, worse than that. She kicked the Pegasus in the ass. She got wing slapped and horse kicked. Absolutely. So, damn. Discrimination is it, it's everywhere. It's human nature. It doesn't make it right. But I assure you, humans the world over, the entire globe, discriminate against others who are different. And it's been going on since the beginning of time. All the way back in the hunter-gatherers. Hunter-gatherers had mobile little villages where the tribes, if you will, would travel together. They camped together. They traveled together. They raised their children. The village raised the children, unlike today. And if someone from the outside came in that they didn't know, I can't trust that person. I don't know if they're here to cause chaos, to rob from us, to steal our food. So they would be very wary, and I get it. We've grown. I wish I could say the human race has become more accepted. I wish I could say that the human race has become more understanding, more educated. Well, the sad part is, the human race has become less tolerant. Humans of 2017 are completely radicalized. You've got radical terrorists of all religions. You've got radical terrorists of Christians. You've got radical terrorists of pagans. You've got radical terrorists of Muslim, and on and on and on and on and on. And, it's just like this kid that was just sentenced to death for calling himself a Christian white supremacist, went into a black church and killed all of these people while they were praying. And you get these good Christians who are going out and burning down churches because they're churches of different faiths. I'm sorry. I just, I just don't see that. That is the biggest form of discrimination you could ever imagine. So now that we've laid the baseline, if you will, we've talked about the base of where I would like for this Sunday's topic to go. I'd like for each of you to take just a minute and think back. Think back at the way you may have treated someone. Think back at the way you may have come across to someone that was discriminatory. Take just a moment. All right. So you took a moment, and most of you that'll be watching this video later are going to be like, I've never discriminated against anyone. Well, you're lying. I can tell you straight up, you're lying. I would be lying if I said I never discriminated against anyone. And I can assure you, according to my research, I'll put that disclaimer in there. According to my research, there's not a human being alive on this planet that is an adult that has never discriminated against anyone for any reason. It's human nature. It's what we do. Danae says, in my younger years, I would have been defensive and put up a front. Absolutely. I did when I was younger. I'd be like, I've never discriminated. Sure I have. You think about the bare definition of discrimination, treating someone different because they are different than yourself. Denying them access to some place because they're different than yourself. So, take notes if you want to, because let's talk about some society accepted discrimination. Society accepted discrimination. Number one, an individual that has been convicted and or served time of rape and or molestation. Do you let them in your house? Do you let them close to your kids? Do you let them close to your wife? Something to think about. It is a federal law that you cannot allow a known convicted sex offender close to your child for any reason. For any reason. It's illegal, but it's also discrimination. But it's accepted discrimination. Another society accepted discrimination. Businesses in Texas, and I can only speak for Texas because I've never actually lived in any place else for any length of time at all. But in Texas, I've run businesses here. A Texas business owner has the right to refuse service to anyone for any reason. Think about the repercussions of that for a moment. A Texas business has the right by law to refuse business to anyone for any reason. That is the writ base of the law. Now, below that, it does say you are not allowed to refuse business to anyone because of race, creed, color, or religion. Yada, 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 yada. But businesses have the right to refuse service to a homeless person coming in off the street to get warm. They sure do. Businesses have the right to refuse service to someone who comes in their door beat to a bloody pulp, hollering, "Someone please call 911." Businesses have the right to refuse service, eject, and remove that person from their premises. Granted, they're not favorably looked up upon, and they're not favorably accepted, but that is society accepted discrimination. And it sucks, and it's messed up, but it is what it is. Now, so a couple of other society accepted discrimination: airplanes, airports. Oh boy, lions and tigers and bears, oh my. But airports have the right to refuse access to the airport to anyone who looks like a terrorist. Think about the ramifications of that for a moment, if you will. Airports have the right to detain an individual who appears to fit the profile, and they will tell you profiling is illegal, but, well, guess what? They do it, cops do it, airports do it, FBI does it, I do it, I profile, you profile, everybody profiles. So, and Cindy posted in there, you, meaning me, in 2011, after the 9/11 attacks of New York happened, I was scheduled to fly to Scotland 1 week, and I went to the airport, got to the airport. Now, trust me, in 2011, way back not 2011, God, '01, September 11, '01, my beard and hair, I had quite a bit more of it than I do now. My beard was black. I'm talking charcoal black, brown eyes. At that point, I had a very husky build. I wasn't just big. In '01, I was built like a brick shit house. Actually had a six-pack before my six-pack turned to a keg. Well, happens. But anyway, I digress. I went into Houston Intercontinental Airport, went through security, and had a couple of gentlemen come up on each side of me. "Mr. Maxwell," I said, "Yes." "Come with us for a moment, please." "Okay. Is there a problem?" "Well, we need to talk to you." "Okay. Where are you going?" "Scotland." "Why?" "Because I can." "No, that's not what we're saying." "I know what you're saying. You're profiling me because Twin Towers were just taken down. There's a number of terrorists. Security is high. I get it. But you're profiling me without looking at my... you haven't looked at my passport. You've not checked my ID. And you've also not run me through Interpol. Because if you had, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Interpol shows me as a amateur rockhound. I go in and out of Scotland quite a bit, and I travel to Scotland quite a bit. I am an American, born and raised in Texas, and I am not a terrorist sympathizer. My opinion is line them all up and shoot their ass. Shoot their ass, shoot their face. Hard to tell the difference. But I spent 30, 45 minutes in there with these assholes being scrutinized. profiled because I looked different. Discrimination at its best. Yeah, pisswads. Needless to say, I was a bit more than angry. So all we got, morning, Clint. So that was a very big boofa on the airport's part. But let's do the flip side of that coin, and let's think about something for a moment. What if I had been a terrorist sympathizer? What if I had been just simply out to attack an American airplane? They may well have stopped another mass genocide of 300 plus people, I think it was supposed to be on that plane I was on. And then they, I hesitate to say they would have been a hero, but they would have been a hero. Yep, y'all be safe out there for sure. But the whole point to the whole situation is over the last year, especially over the last year and a half, 2 years, the American psyche has gone way left field. I mean, we've got cops that are assuming because someone is black or of another race that they're automatically guilty of something, anything, just whatever they can come up with. But then we've got a number of police officers and military that are attacked by people of other races because they wear a uniform. So we have discrimination going on both sides there. Okay? We have discrimination on the side of the police, some, not all. We have discrimination on the side of the civilians that are attacking the police and each other. And I posted yesterday, I posted a couple of videos and responded to a couple of extremely destructive people out there that, when you're going out and you're trying to protest something, protesting doesn't give you the right to block roadways. Protesting does not give you the right to put yourself and others in danger by blocking freeways. Major 4-lane and 8-lane freeways, you dumbass. Really? You are putting yourself and everyone else at risk. No one's paying attention at this point. At this point, no one's paying attention to why you're there. Everybody's wrapped up in the fact that you're a dumbass. If you want to protest, stand the sidewalks, chant, sing, raise your signs, make the changes, show the numbers, do like the women did. A boatload of women came together. I think it was Canada? No, Colorado, sorry. I watched a bit of their live presentation for a bit in Colorado. And the short snippet of the women's uh, protest. Thousands of them together, singing, chanting, raising their signs in Colorado. I didn't see any videos where they were blocking freeways, where they were breaking windows, where they were breaking into shops. Really? Give me a break. That's not protesting. That's being a dumbass. When you're protesting something, you're gathering the masses, you're holding your signs, you're getting your chants, you're making noise, you're being observed and being looked at by the media. And the media gives you kudos when you're doing a peaceful protest. Peaceful protest does not mean to stand there and be silent and go. A peaceful protest means that you're not causing any personal or private property destruction. You're not discriminating against other people to get your way. And guess what? It comes down to discrimination. When you discriminate against others to get your way, you're not making your point. You're not making your point at all. In fact, the only thing you're doing is making yourself out to look like a dumbass. And the sad part is when you're discriminating against others to get your point out, what good are you doing for other people? What good are you doing for your cause? We watch these protesters destroy shops and break windows and break into people's homes, and they're using the protest as a cover-up for theft, mayhem, and chaos. And that's a shame. But the very people that are protesting about discrimination are discriminating against other people because these shop owners have no control over these mobs. Shop owners have it's not the shop owner's fault that some of these people are being discriminated against to begin with, but yet you get these mob mentalities together. They burn down entire city blocks. So the very people that are screaming about discrimination are turning that discrimination around on others. Well, here we are at the top of the hour. Sunday church starting 30 minutes early. 30 minutes past the hour on a Sunday, and we'll go till 10 minutes till on the Sunday and roll over to the radio show. So let's take a minute. Take a moment, if you will. And go get you some coffee. Go potty. Do whatever. Take a quick break. And we'll come back and talk a little more about discrimination. good bonfire. Love a good bonfire. 5 minutes past the hour. We started the church this morning at 9:30 Central Time. We've laid the basis of the conversation. A lot of the guys that started out with us this morning had other things they had to do, of course. Hey, welcome to life. We've all got things we have to do. I get it. Um, After my radio show, um, I'm gonna help Mama put the house back together from the birthday party yesterday evening, and I'm going to wash my truck. Been 3 weeks since my truck was washed, and well, can't have that, can we? So, for those of you watching later, of course, and those of you that might be coming in just after 10 o'clock because you forgot that church started at 9:30 instead of 10 now, I get it. I almost forgot my damn self. Uh, we're talking about discrimination, different types, all types. But the biggest form of discrimination is socially accepted discrimination. And a lot of people, myself included for the longest time, I didn't see that as discrimination. And, you know, I've got a buddy of mine that's in prison right now because of social discrimination, because of a discriminatory backwaters hillbilly county down south who discriminated against him and his wife and listened to a bunch of bullshit rhetoric that had been proven quite the opposite, but yet he's in prison. Discrimination. But I was thinking around first of the year, and I was thinking during all of this inauguration crap that's been going on in the election period of 2016, and everybody's talking about everybody discriminating against everyone else. And welcome back, Jennifer. We took a quick break, but like I say, I was thinking about the conversations that my old friend and I used to have. And earlier on, he used to tell me the same thing. Everybody discriminates against everyone for a multitude of different reasons. And I used to look at him and said, dude, I don't discriminate against people. I take people as they are. And it just used to torque his ass because I never would understand what it was he was talking about. And probably until the last, 4 or 5 years, I began to get it. I began to understand exactly what it is he's talking about. He wasn't talking about discrimination of race, creed, religion, or sexuality. He was talking about the socially accepted discriminations, where we deny people access because of the way they look or the way they live or the way they think, or because of what someone else has told us about them. And that, especially in pagan circles, is one of the biggest things that people discriminate against others about. Let's take and I'm going to take a closed coven, okay? A closed coven. And I'm going to take a closed grove. Now, the GCS, the Grove of the Celtic Shaman, is a closed grove. You have to meet certain criteria in order to be a sworn member of the grove. You have to meet certain criteria to be a sworn member of a coven, especially if they're a closed coven or a closed coven. There's another word for it. But that in and of itself is a discriminatory based organization that denies people access because they are different, do not think, or do not believe in the same way as the coven group or organization. That is perfectly legal. The Masonic Lodge is a closed group. Okay? Um, the Baptist Church is a closed group, even though they tell you our doors are open to the public. Anyone who seeks God can come into our doors. However, I have proof to the contrary. And a quick story of that proof, and I've told it before. But back in the mid to late 90s, when I was making my decision to leave the church, I was a deacon. I was on the choir. I was considered one of the elders of the church. And we pulled up, me and my stepkids of the time, there were four. We pulled up at the church on the Sunday morning as we normally did. I like to get someplace early, so I get the best parking place, like under the shade tree, because in South Texas in the summer, it's hotter than the hinges of Hades, let me tell you. So we get there early, and we find our shade tree under the old pine. And me and the kids are sitting there listening to the radio, got it turned down low. I'm sitting there smoking a cigarette. And I noticed there was an old guy that had walked up on church property right after we got there. He had walked up on church property and sit down on the steps of the church. And it was hot. It was hot. But he had a blanket pulled up over his head. You couldn't see his face. He wore tattered clothing. Obviously a homeless individual, a transient, if you will. And he was sitting on the steps of the church. The doors to the church were locked. Okay, got to keep vandalism down. But he was just sitting there. Now, I'm a people watcher. Okay? I watch people. I watch body language. I watch the way they move. I pick up on their energies. And the kids are like, "Dad, who's that man?" I said, "I'm not sure. Just stay put for a minute and let's see what he does." Well, we watched as other people showed up. The assistant preacher to the church showed up. And he walked past this guy and kind of got up against the wall on the other side as he walked past him. Didn't say anything to him, right? Unlocked the church, went in, closed the door. I don't know if he locked it behind him or not. Not sure. A couple of other people started showing up. Elders of the church. Deacons. The leader of the choir, she showed up. And no one is acknowledging this guy. Parents started showing up with their kids, and they've got their kids all bundled up, shoved them up against the wall. And they're walking around this guy. And I thought, something doesn't feel right. So I told the kids, I said, "Okay, let's go." I finished my cigarette. And they're like, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Well, we're going to see, number one, if he needs help." I said, everybody's acting like they're afraid of the fella. And I'm like, he obviously looks homeless. He might be hungry. I know he's not cold, bless his heart, because it's like 90 freaking degrees out here. And he's got a blanket pulled up over his head, for God's sakes. I said, so let's go see if he needs something. And we went up there, and my stepdaughter and three stepsons kneel down in front of him. And they're like, "Sir, do you need something? Are you okay?" And I patted him on the back. I said, "Why don't you come in and get you something to drink? You've got to be hot sitting out here." And we stood there and talked to him. He still hasn't said anything. And he looked up at me and smiled, and I knew immediately it was the preacher of the church. And I thought, well, you sneaky old fart. You sneaky old fart. He was testing the congregation of his church to see just how discriminatory they really are. And he told me, he said, y'all going in, it's okay. You know, he looked at my kids and said, "We're playing a game. Y'all just don't tell anybody it's me." Okay, okay, okay. So they didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. Went on in, got the kids settled with the rest of the kids. And of course, once kids get together, they forget the damn world existed and they're all out playing on the swings and what have you. And by this time, I'm standing out back with the other elders of the church. We're smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee, just chatting. I'm making sure I haven't said anything to anybody. And one of the people of the church said something about the old man that was sitting out on the front doorstep. I said, "Well, did anybody invite him in? Maybe ask him if he needs water. Maybe he needs to call somebody. Maybe he's lost." And they're like, "No, he's got to be a hobo. He's got to be homeless. We don't like that type hanging around. It's bad for the kids." And I'm like, "Really? Okay, you know, um, fine, whatever." So we called a pew. We called order. We go in. Everybody sits down. The preacher's not there yet. And after everybody's in the pews, you got this little mutter going on. Wonder where brother so and so's at, and wonder where the preacher's at. And the door opens up from the preacher's office, and the old man in the cape with the tattered clothes and all come on the stage. And everybody's like, "What's he doing in the preacher's office? Oh my God, I wonder if he stole anything." And he walks up to the pulpit and he drops his hood down, and it's the preacher standing there. People were pissed. People were angry. People were angry with the preacher. "What the fuck are you doing angry at the preacher, you twit?" That was his service for the day. Not a single solitary member of that church even offered him a drink of water. Discriminate, discrimination, eh, discriminatory actions at their best. Shame, really. Embarrassing, truly. And that started a real big downfall for my activity in the Christian church. Because to me, it denounced, denied, and went against everything that a church, whether it's Christian, pagan, Muslim, um, Jewish, if you're a gathering of spiritual individuals and someone is sitting on your doorstep that needs help, you may not have to offer them your home, but you can at least offer them a glass of water, some shade, or a cool place to sit on a hot summer's day. At least be a respectful human being. And I remember being very disheartened, disillusioned, and disappointed at the people of that church. And so I really started opening my eyes and listening and watching. That was the really, really infantile beginnings of the internet. I had my own computer store at the time, so I started researching. I started researching this type of activity on the internet, and the more I learned, the less I liked. Now, understand, I've been studying religion and religious philosophies for as long as I can remember. I've always found it rather interesting, also mildly disgusting, disturbing, and very sad, really. So in the 98, 99, 2000 era, when I really become interested in the pagan philosophy, learned what it was to believe in the pagan philosophies, and um, learned what it was that pagans are supposed to stand for: the freedom, the acceptance, the understanding. Yeah, Cindy posted in chat, like, the people on the corner of the street, we give them food or drink. I'm right there with you. You know, got an extra bottle of water and it's still sealed. Here, how about it? But I found it very disheartening. And well, okay. So I'm going to, I thought then, I'm going to form a circle of people, misfits, people that don't belong anywhere else. A circle that is open to all. And I remember being asked early on, well, what are you going to do about people that have been convicted of rape, people that have been convicted of armed robbery, burglary and habitation, all this other thing? And my question to them was, have they done their time? Have they done their time in jail, and have they gotten out to start over? Embrace them when they walk into circle and give them a place to start over until they either prove that they're bad people, or they prove that they can become a very active person within the pagan church. So we built the foundation, the structure of HOP on accepting those that were different, right? We really truly did not want to embrace the social stigma and the socially accepted discrimination of people simply because they had been to prison, been to jail, or made some bad decisions in the past. We were a home of misfits. Well, Goddess knows I'm a misfit. I don't particularly fit any social criteria. I don't try to. Don't need to. Piss on it. But I found it interesting at first. Disheartening later, but interesting at first. That the more our circle grew, the more people that came to it, the more discriminatory the circle became. I found that the more judgmental the members became of the HOP circle. I found that the more people you had in a circle, congregation, member, whatever, the more discriminatory the masses became. And I found the more that you bring people together in a small space, the more defensive they get about that small space. The more protective, if you will, they get of that small space. So the bigger the numbers grew, the more discriminatory the circle become, the more the elders of the HOP became judgmental of people that wanted to come to us and learn. Granted, I'll be the first one to admit we had some shit stirring little twits, and we had a lot of people that brought chaos with them. And they embraced chaos. They wanted chaos because chaos was all they knew. But rather than letting them just be, knowing them for what they are, people begin to lash out. They need to be kicked out of the church because they're not they're not they're not putting forth what the church stands for. Like, okay. So I found it disgustingly pathetic. And in '08, in 2008, when the HOP closed the circle in Liberty, I remember thinking, it's not a Christian thing to discriminate. It's not a pagan thing to discriminate. It's not a Muslim or Jewish or even atheist thing to discriminate. It's a human thing. Absolutely. Humans can't stand change for the most part. People don't like change. They don't understand change for the most part. So, for a human to discriminate against another human because they're different, it's mostly because of change, a lack of understanding. Perhaps it doesn't necessarily mean you're stupid. Yes, it's a human thing. But when you understand the difference between stupid and dumb, stupid is knowing better and doing it anyway. Dumb is not knowing any better and willing to learn. So is it discrimination is stupid or dumb or perhaps both? I think discrimination is both stupid and dumb, depending on the person. Stupid because people who protest against discrimination, not all people, but many people who come together as a mob mentality, who protest and destroy private property, that's not a protest. That is a mob destruction. That's stupid. People who don't know any better, that sit at home and go, what the hell, what's going on? They want to learn, they want to understand how not to discriminate, or how better not to discriminate. That's dumb. And I'm okay with that. I'm fine with dumb. Stupid? Got no time for stupid. But what did we do when we found that our church was no different than any other church in any other religion, and the people of our church were just as discriminatory, if not in some cases worse? And I see variations of the HOP going out, and uh, little churches getting spawned off of it. And I see the members discriminating against other people. And then I ask the question, why? Why? What, you know, what coins not allowing that person into your circle? And they explain. I mean, I just want to know why. I'm curious. I'm a curious person. And they tell me why. And I'm like, well, shit, okay. I hate it, but I get it. You can't have someone that is going to bring nothing but chaos, fear, anxieties, hatred into your circle. Or can you? You, if you're a leader of a pagan church or a leader of a open circle, semantics means the same freaking thing. You have to make the decision. You have to make a decision as to whether or not you want to let these people in. And yeah, Cindy said it's a society program for the discrimination. Absolutely. But like I said earlier on in the program, there are some discriminations that almost have to happen, don't they? And I guess each of us as individuals have to accept responsibility for our own discriminatory behavior. Hmm. We are just past 30 minutes past the hour. I'm going to let my voice rest for just a minute. We'll take a couple of minutes. Everybody get your soda, coffee, vape, whatever, refilled real quick. And we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Not a full 5, but just a couple of minutes. I'm not even gonna play any music really. I'm just gonna sit back and chill for a second. We got about 15 minutes before the end of the broadcast. So take a minute, chill out, drop me some questions. Let's talk about it. Discrimination. I love this software. Kind of cool. Ah, well. I am so easily entertained. I like starting the church at 9:30. Oops. Sorry. Whoops. Sorry. Hey, this will do this to you after a while. This is not only your brain on pagan ministry, but it's also your brain on computers. I have the digital brain, man. Yeah, I usually get up at 8 or 8:30 on Sundays and eat breakfast, take my meds, try to get my face to clear up. Because, man, let me tell you, if I got up and came straight in here and tried to do church, by the time I got through coughing and blowing my nose and trying to get my eyes clear and get my face to calm down, my God, I'd spend the first 20 minutes of church sounding like a hacking mule just trying to get so I could breathe. Never had these allergy problems until I moved to North Texas. Everybody says mountain cedar, mountain cedar. No, no. Tested for it, not allergic to it. I was raised in the central, southern, swampy regions of Texas where there was cedar, pine, moss. Um, I would come out in the morning sometimes of the year and my blue Suburban would be green from all of the pollen. I would be having no problem. Now, other people would be dying from all of the pollen. Cindy says, you are a jackass at times. Oops, no, I am. I get it. Who was it? Who was it that used to call me a winged jackass? Loved it. Thought it was funny as hell. Cammy says she sounded like a frog this morning. Well, I sound like a frog every morning when I get up till my meds kick in. So, onward. 38 minutes past the hour. We'll be going until 50 minutes past the hour, or 10 minutes till 11 a.m. Central Time, when we'll be going over to UnitedPaganRadio.net. Let me tell you, that's a wonderful, wonderful internet radio. A lot of fun. Kim Richards. Yep, I think you're right. It was Kim Richards and one other, um, Robert and Christie. That's it. That's who used to run around with Robert Christie. Called me a winged jackass a lot. Anyway, I digress. Discrimination. Are y'all discriminating against me? No, wouldn't care if you did, really. So, sad thing, this discrimination. But we have to find a fine line balance in discrimination. Keep our families safe, keep ourselves safe. But one of the discriminations that I find rather hateful is when people are walking down the street and someone is coming at them in a hoodie. They got the hoodie pulled up. They obviously look like they may be up to no good. And people will cross the street to keep from passing them. Not me. I notice them. When a person is noticed, they're less likely to do bad things, more or less. When I walk past people in hoodies that's got it pulled down over their face, they obviously don't want to be recognized. And I walk past them and say, good morning, or well, good afternoon, or good evening, or how are you today? And it shocks them. It shocks that momentum that they've got going, whatever it is, good, bad, or indifferent. Speak to people of different races, religions, sexualities, whatever. How are you today? Don't expect a reply. Don't expect a return. Just say, hi, how are you? Keep on walking. It will break that momentum that they have. So if they're up to no good and they mean that they're going to cause chaos or cause problems, maybe just by saying hello, you stopped that momentum. Excuse me, need to blow my nose. Love the mute button. Yeah, love the mute button. So, how do we beat discrimination? Education. Asking asking the right questions for the right reasons. When someone new comes into my circle, I listen. I try very hard not to prejudge the first 10 or 15 minutes of an individual, because the first 10 or 15 minutes that an individual comes into a situation, they're going to be puffed up. They're going to be trying to prove themselves. I'm all this and I'm all that. Okay, relax. Don't try to fit in. I tell, it kind of blows people's minds because I tell them, don't try to fit in. Be who you are. If we become someplace that you want to call home, all we ask is for your respect. Treat people with respect and with honor. If we become someplace that you're not comfortable with, we wish you well and blessings in your future endeavors. Open your heart to people that are different. Open your heart to people that have lost their way. Don't let yourself become a part of the problem. Let yourself become a part of the fix for that problem. Um, Cindy posted an interesting read in the chat. In her coven that she used to be a member of before she joined us, they used to go to the local mall dressed in all black, just to see how long it would be before security would start following them around and noticing them, so to speak. Um, it's kind of asking for trouble, but I can see why. I get it. Thank you for the happy birthday, by the way. And I tested something one year when I went to Scotland. On my way over, I wore my black denim pants. I wore a black shirt, my hat, and I carried my laptop bag, digital bag with me. I had my black boots on, and I was heavily, heavily searched and profiled, as it were. Um, and My beard was still black. It was before it started graying. My mustache had a little salt and pepper in it, but not much. So I went over. I thought it was interesting. I was heavily searched and went on through, no problem. But when I came back, I decided, me being who I am, I decided I'm going to stir the pot. I'm going to stir the pot just a little bit. And I wore my ritual robe, not my kilt, but my ritual robe with my tam, my sash, my belt, my sportum, and nothing else. Absolutely nothing else. My sportum had my driver's license, my passport. At that point, I was still smoking cigarettes, so it had my cigarettes and my lighter, um, and that was it. Nothing. So we came time for security. I unbuckled my sportum from my belt. I took my belt off, put it in the little box, and I had on my lace-up boots. And when I went through, security was security was watching me, boy. Let me tell you. But do you know that I they didn't even come at me with the wand. I went through security with lace-up boots all the way to my knees. I had my straps on my boots with my tartan sock holders, and of course my tam, my sash, my belt, all of that I put in the bucket. I wasn't even asked to do it. I just did it. And everybody and their hound dog was watching me so close that if I'd have farted, their ears would have wiggled. But do you know, not a single person said a word to me. I was not profiled. I was not questioned. Nobody said a word. I went through security, belted back up, put my sportum back on, put my tam, sash, got everything set back up. Did the bow to the security officer, said thank you very much for your service, kicked in my Scottish accent just a wee, and buggered off through the terminal, headed for my plane. Went through the post to take my ticket, looked at my passport, looked at my driver's license. Woman looked me square in the face and she said, going home or going to visit? I said, oh, going home. Visit's over. They never said a word. I got from Scotland to England for a quick layover and change of planes because the transcontinental planes cannot land at Edinburgh Airport. They're too big. Luggage went over, no problem. I went through London's security. Same thing. Tam, belt, sash in the bucket. Nobody said a word. And I am in full robe. And this is right after 9/11. In closing, human perception is 99% of discrimination. When I went over, I had on blue jeans, a t-shirt, and cowboy boots and a hat. And I was profiled. When I came back, Scotland to London, London to Houston, Houston through security, got my bag, out the door, nothing. Nobody said a word. Nothing. And I was dressed in full pagan regalia. Totally outside of the norm of what mainstream modern society sees as comfortable wear. And not a single person said a freaking word. On the plane, women, people, I got several hugs from several kids that thought my robe was cool. Figure that one out. That's all for the day. I'm glad everybody that could show up showed up at 9:30. I hope to see you next Sunday at 9:30, and I hope to see you on the radio show. But I thought it was interesting. Discrimination. 99% human perception is discrimination. Well, have a nice week. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.